This is the Stabby Road Podcast.
We're honored to have with us, joining us, looking really good, is the famous John Kassir, also known as the voice of the Cryptkeeper, among other things. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome John Kassir.
I was just going to say, what's your skincare routine? Looking great.
I have a really good embalmer, is really what it is.
Well, John, thank you very much for coming. We know that we've heard about your incredibly busy convention and podcast schedule. It's like, geez. So then, before we get into actually the subject at hand, I've got to ask a technical question. So, given what you do, is it like you've got a booth set up and you're basically just taking appointments during the day? It's a podcast here, it's a voiceover there.
It really depends on the job. I mean, some people want you in studio. Obviously, during the pandemic, of course, the studios weren't open. So, those of us with home studios were at an advantage in terms of being able to supply, professional quality sound from home. And it's kind of stuck with a lot of the jobs. And then, but now we're back in studios as well.
Oh, okay.
Not with so much with groups, unless you do, you got to do testing and the whole thing and then show up, which is understandable. I'm type 1 diabetic. So I've, as a person with an autoimmune disorder like that, it's, I've been very careful throughout the, you're type 1 diabetic.
I'm type 2 and I'm also a kidney recipient. So I had to be very careful with things like that. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
So, it's, the fans have been really great about it. I've been going to back at conventions with thousands of people. And my wife was like, okay, well,
be careful.
The deal is you can do it if you wear a mask.
Yeah.
So I had a Cryptkeeper mask. I actually had a mask made of the bottom of my own face.
Nice.
But it was much creepier than the Cryptkeeper's face. It was just like kind of the wrong size.
Oh,
and
no.
Kind of like
stretched out.
It had some really stupid kind of smile on it. It was just creepy looking. It was just, people were like, oh, that's weird. So
we'll just go with the undead one instead.
Yeah. So but good. All right. So then it was good that worked out for you during the pandemic then. That's
I was busy as I could be.
Good.
And I'm very grateful. Voiceover work's been great. Obviously I came up, through the ranks of theater, and in New York, I got my first off-Broadway show, which closed after 3 weeks of infighting between the producers and the artistic team.
Oh.
And so I was able to get other shows in New York, but they never really paid very much. My first off-Broadway show, I think, was $175 a week.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
In the 1980s, which even in the 1980s was shit. So, I made more money street performing than they ever made.
Wow.
In the theater, but going through theater and sitcoms and all these things that I, were able to do. I mean, voiceover is the thing that's kept me working later in my career. As you get older, I'm sorry if I'm answering your questions before you answer them,
but it's okay. I'm pretending to be awake at this point. You just go on.
Tonight's terror tale will bore you to death.
Bravo.
And
that answers the question: is John allowed to do the voice out of the studio? So,
but just to finish that thought, as you get older, there's just less parts for you on camera.
Yeah.
And I still work in the theater when I can. In fact, I met my wife in the theater, and we like to try to do some shows together whenever we can.
I love a showman's.
This is it. Hit the lights. Voiceover, you're not typed out by how you look or your age.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I've played just about everything you could play.
You were my entire child.
I was going to say, I've got to love Sonia Sonia, go on, because when she started looking at your credits, she was like, I know who this guy is, aside from the Cryptkeeper.
No, I knew. I was like, wait a minute. I know there's 2 cartoons, and I was brain farting and what they are. I was like, oh my God, Buster Bunny. Like Tiny Toons and Tales from the Crypt was my entire childhood, and it's unreal. Like your range is incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you. Rocket Power always gets,
Yes!
that
was like toward the end of my Nickelodeon era, but yeah.
Oh, wow.
My kids were watching that
Cat
regularly.
Dog.
Okay, that's my husband's favorite.
Yeah.
Cat Dog, yes.
Can I say something, though?
Yeah.
So my son is Super Tech Josh, but Super Tech Jake, who is my other son, was it you? It was you. Those were the first words he ever said.
What?
Cat Dog.
That sounds horrible. I didn't know that.
Yes.
That's
Because
really
we had
hysterical.
bought him the toy, and we kept just showing it, and then we kept trying to say daddy or mommy, and one day we walked past and he just goes, Cat Dog. I'm like, okay, those are his first ones.
That's hysterical.
That's awesome.
Well, Tom Kinney and Jim Cummings would be proud to hear that.
Yep.
Of course,
Aw.
So tell us something
that was
about, you were mentioning that you were coming up through the theater. So voiceover is something that a lot of people know you for now. So tell us something about pre-voiceover, John Kassir.
Gosh, I mean, I'd been performing since I was a kid. I always loved it, and I got involved in plays and that kind of stuff. When I was in high school, would have been my first taste of something similar to voiceover. My buddy Fred Smythe and I used to do the morning announcements in high school.
Nice.
That's where you get the
following
bug.
morning announcement brought to you by a grant from the Mobile Corporation. We do. And we'd do, we'd imitate the teachers and the Beatles, and I mean, you name it.
I love that.
But, I went full into it in college, and then I got my degree in theater from Towson University. And, I graduated with people like Charles Rock Dutton, and, got to do productions with some of the earlier alumni like John Glover.
Oh,
and
wow.
Both
Dwight
terrific
Schultz.
actors, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Eric King, was in my class. Who
Wow.
was, on Dexter.
Yeah.
And just some really amazing actors have come out of that theater program.
Nice.
And I got, like I said, I got my first off-Broadway show right out of college in New York. It turned into that experience of like, oh my God, the professional theater is
not as glamorous as everybody thinks it is, right?
it was tough. And then I eventually, after struggling for 5-6 years, really, like I said, making more money street performing than in the theater. And I had toured, there was a comedy group that came out of our a small group of us out of Towson, where we went to school, called Animal Crackers. We were kind of like Baltimore's version of Second
cute.
City.
Okay. Oh, wow.
And we wound up touring the world for the USO and performing for the
nice.
US military. Stuff like that. And, so I had some experience in the comedy clubs, but mostly sketch comedy. And, but I landed a role in a off-Broadway musical called Three Guys Naked from the Waist Down.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds like a gay review in the village, but
No, I didn't.
but
I remember it
but
well.
basically,
Yeah, by Charles Ludlam. Yeah, it was.
exactly. This is my character tripod, and no, I'm kidding. And but it was think Dreamgirls, but a musical about stand-up comics.
Yeah.
And starred Scott Bakula and Jerry Colker, who wrote the piece, who was also in, you wouldn't probably know his work other than as a writer, but back in the day, he was a wonderful Broadway actor. He was in A Chorus Line and
I was like, I know the name. Thank you.
Pippin and
Yep, Chorus Line.
I mean, Jerry and Michael Rupert, who was in March, leading the March of Falsettos and that kind of thing, wrote this musical about stand-up comics. And, so it was just three guys. I played the guy who was like the dark, suicidal, Andy Kaufman-ish type character. And people assumed I was, a stand-up comic. It was a big hit off Broadway.
Nice.
And people were like, hey, we want you to be on our show, Star Search. The first year they came up to me and I was like, Star Search?
This is going back a ways.
I was like, really? You want me to be on this show? I go, and Sam Harris was on that show in that season. And I mean, he was killing. He's such an incredible singer. I go, I'm doing a musical. I could sing, but I can't go up against Sam Harris. They're like, no. We want you to come on as a stand-up comic. I'm like,
You're like,
I'm like, I'm not really a stand-up, right? This is a part I'm playing.
I just play one on TV.
Exactly. On a stage for 500 people a night. And they go like, well, you win $100,000. I'm like, fuck, have you seen my act? And, so they're like, great. And they put me on the show. And so I'm like, I'm taking material from my, my morning announcements and turning it into 2.5-minute sketches.
Oh, awesome.
Fred and I used to do this bit where I would do the Wizard of Oz in 12 minutes. And I pared it down to a 2.5-minute version of the Wizard of Oz. It's a twister. Dorothy, Annie, as coroner, I must concur. I thoroughly examine. We represent Leo.
Oh my God.
What's them? That's the castle of the Wicked Witch. Oh, Dorothy's in that awful place. Oh, I hate to think of her in there. Fellas, we've got to get her out. I got a plan how to get in there, and you're gonna lead us. All right, I'll go in here for Dorothy. Wicked Witch or no Wicked Witch, gods or no gods, it's just one thing I want you fellas to do. What's that? Talk me out of it. Anyway.
It's incredible. Oh.
But I literally, that's like something I used to do in grade school with my buddy Fred. So I kept winning, so I kept having to put together another 2.5 minutes.
Oh my God.
I think, people assumed I was pulling it out of an act, but really I was like, okay, it's the John Kassir show again this week. I'm gonna do, meanwhile, I am going against stand-up comics, the best in the business, that are literally dismantling 2.5 minutes here and 2.5 minutes there from their act and trying to make that work. And I think that was one of the reasons I won, because my thing was self-contained.
Right.
And I just, so I wound up in the semifinals against Rosie O'Donnell, who I beat.
I remember this.
And she was never very happy about that. But I mean, look at her. Gone on to do incredible
She's
things.
doing okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I think she can
And
be happy now.
But I'll never get over losing $100,000 to John Kassir. No, it's like, come on, Rosie.
You're fine.
Any one of us will take your career any day.
Right.
Okay. Sinbad went up against in the finals, who was wonderful, but I was able to beat him too. And the next day, they're like, Tom Jones was a guest one week on there. He's like, I love this comedian. He's going to open for me in Vegas. And everybody's patting me on the back, in the green room and going, you're great. You can open for Tom Jones in Vegas. I'm like, I can't open for Tom Jones in Vegas. They're like, why? I got no fucking act. This is... So
I'm making this up as I go.
Exactly.
Oh, man.
So they're like, okay, we got you and Sinbad are going to open for, since you were the finalist, you're going to open for Henny Youngman at the Raleigh Hotel in the Catskills. And then you're going to, you're going to open for the Temptations and the Four Tops on their TNT tour.
God.
Wow. You're going to open for Lou Rawls. So I got my ass in the
You learned how to be a stand-up.
Yeah.
I put my stuff together, all those bits.
Good for you.
I created this persona of a guy who was addicted to television.
Nice.
And I could change channels on myself, as I get up there and start
I
going,
love that.
my name is John and I'm a tubaholic, and being in LA where half the town are alcoholics. They're like, hi, John. And then
What was that movie? That line from The Player. It's like, I'm going to an AA meeting. He said, I didn't even know you had a problem. He said, no, that's where all the meetings are taking place. I'm
are
sorry.
you kidding me? That's where I'm networking.
Yes.
I remember reading an article where Steve Rubell, from Studio
54.
were days. Yeah, he had written it for the Village Voice, and it was this article about, and it was years later, and he was on his way. He's walking up Fifth Avenue past St. Peter's. Is it St. Peter's? What's
St. Patrick's.
St. Patrick's.
Sorry.
St. Patrick's. Thank you. St. Patrick's and St. Peter's. Yeah, he's in Rome. Vatican, he's in Vatican City.
Yeah.
None of
Exactly.
us flinched. We were like, yeah, we know what you're talking about.
He's sitting on the PA top.
Yeah, walking by the basilica.
Yeah.
Itself. Yeah.
Anyway, he's walking past there, and he sees all these people, they're all standing there on the street, and they're all waving to him and shit. And he goes, am I in heaven? Am I dead? I don't know what's happening. It was a AA meeting. They were all coming, like on a break, smoking and having their coffee from an AA meeting.
That's so funny.
But yeah.
Wow.
But literally that launched my television career and
Wow.
multiple sitcoms. I wound up having my own kid show on the USA Network, which was called Johnny Time, and you won't be able to find it because it's in a vault somewhere. You'd have to get like 10 attorneys to try to get them to give it to me, so I could put it on social media. But it is just one of the most. I think I have it on VHS tape, but I'm not about to put it online.
That's
in
fair.
that quality.
Yeah.
But it was really great. It pretty much was Pee Wee Herman on acid.
Nice.
Wow. That sings.
How I missed this.
That's so you lot.
And what year was this, John? About?
That was like 97.
I missed this.
It came on the air. It was on the cover of TV Guide.
Okay.
This is the best kid show we've seen in years, and blah 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 blah. And we're on the USA Network, which had no kids programming.
Yeah.
And so they were like, oh, we're gonna build kid programming around you and all this stuff. Well, we wound up like, the intro to the lead into the WWF on Sunday mornings.
Oh.
And so obviously it was. I mean, the show was originally designed for adults anyway. But
Yeah,
it
of
was,
course.
It was, stoners and
Right.
kids who didn't go to church. Basically, is what
That was your audience.
Show.
Bad Kids. The Bad Kids show.
But it was hugely well received, and I had an amazing time making it. And I got to hire all the people that I just thought.
Oh, that's awesome.
I got Wayne White who did the sets for Pee Wee's Playhouse.
Oh,
and he
wow.
made me this really cool psychedelic set with
Nice.
a big version of me. That was a sliding board, and I could slide out of my tongue. And
Oh,
it was
awesome.
it was pretty cool. It was pretty
Damn,
cool
how did I
stuff.
miss this?
97. We
I know.
had Alex a year earlier, so you'd think this would have been on our radar
Right?
somehow.
I know.
The fact that
I'm surprised I missed this one.
wow.
Damn.
Okay.
But you just didn't go looking in USA.
That might have been. That might have had something to do with it.
US.
And not only that, it was only a year
USA
later, so
Network.
I think we were probably still sleeping.
Yeah, you were still recovering.
Yeah. So anyway,
Johnny time. But
I see. Now I'm gonna find this. Gonna find this.
I'll see if we can. I mean, somehow I'd love to get it out there.
It's.
But Jerry
How could
Polker, who wrote Three Guys Naked, wrote it with me, and it was
Oh, wow.
a really,
Awesome.
really fun show. It was really great. Someday maybe I'll be able to get that out there.
Yeah,
somehow.
that'd be great.
So then
I'm sure there's some
you wound up. You moved from there to. So that show ended
LA.
unceremoniously, and then you went to.
yeah.
Then after that
I
show.
was living in LA there. I was living in LA since the mid '80s. So
Right.
once I won Star Search, I moved to LA.
That's
and
what I figured.
Okay.
it was, I mean, it was funny because of course everybody's like, "Come back to New York now. You can really write your ticket in theater." I go, "Yeah, for $900, $600 a week." Just like.
You're like, no, I'm good.
I mean, anytime I've gone back to New York and done a show, it's been a really wonderful experience, except when we did Reefer Madness, the movie musical, which I think you probably, if you haven't caught that, that's
Yeah.
something you should catch.
Oh,
How did
I mean,
I
that's
miss Reefer Madness the musical?
I don't know.
We started it in LA, and when we went to New York to open it off Broadway, we opened the week of September 11th, so it wasn't.
Oh,
it
my
was
God.
not a good time.
That
It was-
that's how you miss it.
Yeah,
It went-
competition like that's hard to beat.
But
But
then they made it into a movie, and it stars Alan Cumming and Kristen Bell and Steven Weber
oh
And
my
Anna Gath-
god!
and a guest star.
So they
and,
made a movie of the musical version.
Yeah.
Oh, I need to find this. Oh my
very-
God.
And it's not like on stage. It's shot like,
Okay.
It's amazing.
I need to
I
find
get
this.
a lot of people. I get a lot of people that go, and they even do like shadow performances of it and stuff. It's really
that's
great.
Are you in the movie too?
I am. Yeah.
Sweet.
I play Ralph. I play the guy that eats everybody in the end. He's just like he's the guy who's just like still in a college sweater, even though he's in his 40s.
Nice.
Because
Nice.
he came to the reefer den. He's the guy in the closet in the original.
I was just going to ask him. He's yeah.
Oh my God.
and-
Awesome.
Telling
It's
people to
amazing.
play
Yeah,
the piano faster. That play faster.
Sally, faster. I'll play faster, Sally. And he's like, I get raped. I get Kristen Bell's character high, and she's like little Miss Goody Two Shoes, and she turns
Oh my
into
God.
a freak and rapes me, and the whole. It's just
Oh, I have to
it's
find this. I
it's
can't believe.
brilliant.
I cannot
Okay.
believe I
It's
haven't
brilliant.
seen this. Wow.
So
Robert Torti plays Jesus, who comes, try to talk Jimmy down.
Oh, my
Played by
God.
Christian Campbell.
Gotcha.
Nev
Yeah.
This
Campbell.
cast alone. Okay. Yeah. That's gonna be my project.
Nev Campbell has a really nice little dance
Jeez.
number.
Oh
in
my
it. It's just-
God. I mean, you had me at
it's-
Alan Cumming, but
oh my God, forget it.
Ugh.
He plays, the lecturer who's telling the story. Tell your children.
oh my God. Yes. Okay.
Madness, reefer madness.
Oh, shut up and take my
Uh,
money. Like, oh my God.
so
This coming next week, 420. There'll
that's
be
I'm sure it's
people-
going to be
It'll be somewhere.
People will plaster me with, hey,
Yeah.
watch Reefer Madness today.
Nice.
So
It's
so
pretty
what
cool.
eventually led to inevitably this was going to come. What led from all of these interesting adventures to being the voice of the most beloved horror host
Ever.
ever, and the most famous, really the most famous of hosts of that nature?
And who would think, whoever would have thought. First of all, I loved humor. I loved, horror as a kid.
Mhm.
In Baltimore, we had what they called Twilight movie that would
Mhm.
come on around 4:30 while my mom was making dinner. And they'd play anything from Doris Day movies to Roger Corman, like Tingler. And,
That
Nice.
we
House
had that
of
in New
Wax
York,
and
the
stuff like that.
4:30 movie.
We had the 4:30 movie.
And yeah, and then they'd have Mothra and Attack of the 50-Foot
Yep.
Woman
Aw.
and that stuff. And then they'd have the Universal Horror monster movies, which
Yep.
were like my favorite. Abbott and Costello Meets Frankenstein is still my favorite, horror comedy. But so to have wound up, helping to bring to life a bring to death. One of the most iconic, horror characters was not something that I would have thought was in my wheelhouse. But the first series that I wound up doing was HBO's first series, First and 10, which was
Oh,
about a
right.
football team.
Yeah.
O.J. Simpson played the general manager, and Delta Burke owned the team. She had won it in a divorce settlement, and Chris Maloney was a quarterback on the show, and
Wow.
Jason Begay was on the show.
Wow.
All these people started their careers on this series.
Wow.
And the California Bulls, Don Gibb, who was the ogre and the nerds, was like the linebacker, all right. And I played Zagreb Skinuski, the kicker. He could kick 60-yard field goals,
Oh, nice.
like it was that. Hey, I kick for you and then I fuck you both. Yeah. Oh, they like me. Yeah.
Oh,
really
God.
hysterical character, but
amazing.
So
I was
we're all going to
working
go in
for
a rabbit hole after this is
Seriously.
over, just to find,
Seriously, all of this gold.
We've done some research to some extent, but Jesus Christ,
Oh,
these
Well,
are nuggets.
people don't think about my career that much because it's been all over the place, and you play so many things. I played so many things that aren't me,
Yeah.
so which is great. I have more famous characters than I ever got famous, which is really by,
Kind of a nice place
Partially
to
just
be.
by-
Like you have all
Totally.
that the legendary, but you still have a little bit of that anonymity when you don't want to be just bamboozled out in public. That's kind of a sweet spot.
after winning Star Search, I would I'd be in the grocery store and there'd be somebody following me around. I go, you know, and I had all this curly hair, and people come up, "You're Kramer, right?" And I'd be like, "No, not Kramer."
Sorry, I just coughed.
No,
You should point the coughs my
Yeah,
way,
I
not
got
on the immunocompromised.
Yes, yeah, right, great, wonderful, yes. That would be
but
typical.
So that
So-
show
but
1 in 10
literally,
led.
they called my agents and said, "Listen, we're looking for somebody to play. They're doing we're doing Tales from the Crypt as a series, and we need somebody like John, who's a funny actor who can do voices." And and they knew that I did all that stuff in my stand up, and because I didn't really have material in my stand up. Like I told you, it was all like characters and little sketches, and I'd improvise, go out into the audience and stuff like that. So they were like, "We need somebody like that." So they invited me down to Kevin Yeager's studio.
Wow.
And those of you who know Kevin at home know that he not only designed that guy, but he also designed Chucky and, designed Freddy Krueger's look. I mean, he's just one of the best in the business.
Yeah.
And, this was kind of a newer version of him once we got the show was in the air, we got a better budget. But you could see he even was making the original Cryptkeeper out of spare parts from his shop. And he had
Those
pulled
are
out
the Chucky eyes.
That's what they are.
Son of
Oh
a
my
gun.
God.
Wow.
I never would have. Wow. That's cool.
Okay,
amazing.
that's
I
a
think
great picture.
originally,
That's so
Yeah.
cool.
he meant that he thought that might be temporary, but they just
Oh,
looked so
that's
good
so-
and made him so charming and fun that
So
he
did they
kept it.
have him designed and then you made the voice, or vice versa?
Yeah, how'd the creative
They-
process
Yeah.
work there?
Well, I mean, they literally had the auditions at Kevin's studio. So
Oh,
I was just like,
wow.
"Oh, this is so cool. I'm getting to go down to Kevin Yeager's studio." And he had like all his, his, clay models that he'd been working
Oh.
on and stuff on the wall that you've seen in some of the coolest movies you've ever seen,
Oh, wow.
hanging all over his shop. And then Kevin's in the back and, he's got a boom box that he's recording people with on a cassette tape, and you get to see versions of what he's doing. And he hadn't completed it yet, but he was pretty close to what we know today as the Cryptkeeper. And he had different versions of it already like modeled and made up and, even poured into, rubber and all that stuff. And, they explained to me it's going to be a puppet, and they'll be working the puppet, and we're going to pre-record you and, bring your personality to it and all this stuff. So having read the comic books and bit into the comic books as a
That was
kid
my
and
next
being
question.
into horror, I was so into that as a kid, I used to have to hide them from my mom. Because as you know,
That's what we did.
the reason they have, age codes on those comic books is because of Tales from,
Yeah.
these EC
Yep.
comics.
We discussed that in
We
the
just-
podcast.
Yeah.
We just explained how that horrible, Dr. Wortham taking them all to the to Congress, and then like we said, Bill Gaines didn't turn out so badly because he created Mad Magazine. So
Yes,
But-
and we have to nod our hats today to
Jaffe.
Al Jaffe, who just was the longest living. I mean, he holds the Guinness record for the longest living cartoonist ever.
indeed,
Yeah.
But
102 and gone too
longest
soon.
longest working cartoonist.
Yeah.
He's
Wow.
just amazing.
so
But I did get to meet Bill Gaines and all
you
that.
did
but-
get to meet, but that was my next question.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that. But let me finish about Kevin.
Sorry.
Kevin had been listening. No, that's okay. I mean, I the point I was going to make was that having read the comic books, I loved the comic books and hid them from my mother for years. I used to keep them in my Casper comics so I could read them.
Clever.
She's like, "Oh, you're reading Casper, okay?" Meanwhile, I'm learning to reading Tales from the Crypt comic books, and which was just kind of an irony of it. But I knew that this was supposed to be funny and fun, and the
Mhm.
Crypt Keeper's job was to let you know that this was supposed to be
Gallows
fun.
humor, right?
And I could see all these actors, the other actors, were sitting in the, waiting, going, "Be careful what you ask for." They're like,
Like, oh, you.
this is terrible.
Just
They're
not
not
getting it.
getting it.
Yeah.
Oh.
They're not getting this is brilliant. I mean, even Alfred Hitchcock knew that stuff. He used
Yeah.
to do puns in
Next level puns.
intros.
Oh.
Yeah. And so Kevin's sitting there like this. I could tell he's been listening to nothing that's working for him. And I start doing, my version of it. And all of a sudden he's like,
Like, don't stop.
he's laughing. And
Wonderful.
He's laughing and I'm laughing. And I'm like, great. The Cryptkeeper laughs at his own jokes. Be careful what you ask for.
Yeah, see?
You may get it.
See, that's...
And he was like,
That-
go ahead.
No, well, the question I had, because as we were watching the films that we've been watching, we did the original with Ralph Richardson, and then Demon Knight and Bordello of Blood. And what struck me was everyone knows the Crypt Keeper as the way you and Kevin created it. Whereas the Crypt Keeper in the comics was so very different. And, and even to the point where, had you ever seen the original one with Ralph Richardson playing the Crypt?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
1972 or whatever.
Yeah.
It was.
So it's like...
Patrick McGowan
and Tom Baker and Joan Collins. It's the usual amicus round of people. But even and he just looked so bored too. Ralph Richardson is like, I'm just getting paid and I'm going to sit here.
Just light me from below.
Yeah, exactly. So
Frankenstein like.
The difference between where the Crypt Keeper was as a character versus what he's become. I mean, it originally, until I'd heard the story, I didn't realize what a collaboration it was between you and Kevin.
Forget it. He went to them, and unbeknownst to me, this was just recently in a podcast. The dads from the Crypt have a podcast, and Alan Katz, who wrote on the show originally and Gil Adler, who was original showrunner of the show, been doing these podcasts, and one of them was like how not to make a movie, and one of them was about Bordello of Blood and how that was just such a fiasco to put together, even though it came out as one of the fan favorites anyway.
Yeah.
It's no Demon Knight, but it's a great, it's fun in the vein of in the vein of Tales from the Crypt. But they were talking about how, and Kevin was on with us, and he was like, "Well, I have to tell you honestly, I went to them and said, if you don't hire this guy, I'm not doing it, because it was so perfect for what he was thinking."
Oh wow.
So it was so much, had the texture of everything. I'm sitting there looking at it. I go, he has rotting teeth and holes in his throat. I'm throwing in the Margaret Hamilton laugh, and I'm throwing in the sly, tongue in cheek delivery of Alfred Hitchcock, and that's what I'm thinking, and I do it for him. And then he has the next day he has me doing it for Joel Silver and Richard Donner in their office, and I'm like, which of course was one of the most daunting,
was just going to say, we one of my friends worked with Joel Silver on a TV series years ago, and he told me some stories that I'm not, we would save for another time, but let's just say that going into Joel Silver's office, it's funny you said Joel Silver's office, because I just heard the story this week about something that happened in that office that I can't talk about. So, yes, that must have been something. Big old Joel Silver standing over you saying, "All right, what do you got, kid?"
Yeah. And, Dick Donner Dick Donner's just one of the, I'm sad he's gone. What a giant in the business. I mean, he was amazing. I mean, he could just like this across the room and you could feel it. That's how much, wow. That's how, I was like, talk about being jealous of a voice. And he was so resonant, but he was like, "Go ahead, kid, do it for us." I do it and I go, "Great, we'll see you on the set." And I'm sitting there going, first of all, I'm thinking it's HBO. I had just done a series with HBO that nobody saw.
Yeah.
And, and I'm like thinking nobody's going to see this. It's Tales from the Crypt. Horror's not that popular on TV yet, or at that time.
Yep.
And I'm sitting there going, it's going to be for freaks like me. I'm going to enjoy it more than everybody else. And of course, they had a premiere of the 3 episodes, the first 3 episodes that were directed by, Bob Zemeckis, Dick Donner and Walter Hill, and they showed him like a
couple
movie.
Of nobodies.
Yeah, exactly. But they get all executive producers on the show as well, and they showed it in the theater for all the cast, crew, press, and HBO execs. And I remember a couple people sitting in front of me, and then in front of them were all these HBO execs, and one of the guys turns and goes, "This is really great television." The guy goes, it's not TV, it's HBO.
No.
And you see these three execs go, and literally that became like a catchphrase.
No, that's where that came from.
Wait. So that's.
That's what.
I thought they were being funny. That's where it came
amazing.
That is hilarious.
That's the origin of.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And right now, those two guys who were sitting in the row have no idea. They were like, "Wow, that's really good."
Oh, that's
That's
great.
what I said. Wait a minute. That's what I said.
That's my line. Am I getting royalties?
It's not TV. It's HBO. That's
It's
funny.
like that. But I mean, it had to evolve too, because the puppet at first, like the mouth didn't move very much. So if you look at the, they gave Kevin no money, so it was like the mouth.
Well, it was HBO in 1990. Yeah. So
1989.
1980
is when we
sorry.
came on there. 88 is when we started shooting. But so I'd get in the studio and I'm like, "Hello, kitties." He goes, "The mouth doesn't work." Can you make it?" So if you watch the earlier episodes, that guy. Minis.
That makes sense. That explains it.
It does.
Okay, because there is an evolution of the voice throughout. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
couldn't move the mouth.
And then of course, then we're like, and by the time we're done, and then of course we got more money because the show got picked up and it was popular, and and then they're like, okay, how are we gonna start, and Gil Adler and Alan Katz's idea of it was, we want to see what the Crypt Keeper is doing when he's not working as the Crypt Keeper.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they started making all these great stuff, and I'd come in and go, I start doing the Crypt Keeper as Marlon Brando, and the next thing you know, they've written this thing where he's like, Stella! He's doing, he's in a torn up t-shirt with his bony little arms doing a Streetcar Named Desire,
Oh
and
my God.
doing Howard Stern as a shock jock.
Yes. Yes.
You even had him doing stand-up, Is this on? Is this on?
The bits were so. They're so good.
There were
brilliant,
times where there were times we'd watch the bits and then skip through the show.
Really?
I don't want to.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to say that, but it was
For
like, no,
sure.
I'm here for the funny stuff. It's like, I've always loved horror hosts as an idea, and the fact that this was finally a horror host with like a budget and real writing and real producing, it was like,
Yeah.
And I didn't even think of him as a horror host. And then one day I get a call, this year at Horror Hound in Cincinnati,
The Hall of
where they
Fame.
have the Horror Host Hall of Fame. We're
Yeah.
inducting you into it. And I was
Wow.
You're like,
wow, what an
what?
honor. Because I, of course, loved my horror hosts that I grew up with, and still love the Svengulis of our time.
Yep.
These guys are great. And to be part of that fraternity was a big deal. But, to have people come up to me, Sonia, you were going, these are all my childhood. When it's just, I just still find it hysterical and ironic that people come up to me and go, "Oh my God, you're the Crypt Keeper in my childhood." And you're going,
You're like,
"Really?
Are you? Did you
Your
turn out all right?
childhood?"
Yeah.
But I think about it, was my childhood. It wasn't supposed to be.
Right.
But there's so many people that were like, "Yeah, this is the only show my family watched together." My
Wow.
parents wouldn't
Yeah.
let me watch it. I watched it with my grandma on the weekend. She'd go, "Don't tell your mom."
Yep. This was a watch it only like alone at night, and we were discussing like back when HBO was just part of the basic cable package, so
Yeah.
you didn't have to pay extra, and just hope that your mom didn't walk in while you were watching Bordello of Blood.
That's true. So then, to the films that we talked. So there was that period where Tales from the Crypt got popular, and then suddenly got popular enough in the zeitgeist that people said, "Hey, we'll go see movies." And then, what happened to Tales from the Crypt after the movies? I mean, did they just cancel?
Well, we
the
no
show?
longer had the right. We no longer had the rights.
So that's what happened. The rights.
Well, first of all, they made more episodes of Tales from the Crypt than just about any HBO series ever made. I mean, it was at the 93 episodes. They
Wow.
don't on
the
cable. They were not making 93 episodes of anything.
no.
Yeah.
Even the DVDs.
So then
oof.
So then you're like, okay, that's syndication. The reason you don't see the earlier shows on HBO, they didn't own them. They would give you money to make them, and each season that you got picked up, you had to come up with more money to add to the budget from wherever you were getting it from. and that was probably the people you were making, future deals with to do syndication and that sort of thing. And so, so it became more and more expensive for our producers to make, and less expensive of HBO. So they continued. In fact, we only did 6 seasons originally, and then it was becoming popular overseas in Britain, and they were like, "Well, we want to do some," and they go, "Well, we're not going to spend the money." They're like, "We'll spend the money. We'll come over here and shoot it." And you look at that season. It's not my favorite season in terms of material and stuff, but Daniel Craig shows up. We didn't know who the hell he was.
Yeah.
Ewan McGregor shows up. We didn't know who he was. Emma Samms. I mean, all these different people were showing up in Tales from the Crypt. We didn't even know their work yet.
That's so
And now
cool.
they're some of the biggest stars in movies, and that kind of thing. But, once the, and over the years, I did get to meet Bill Gaines, and he was he loved the show. And, they had originally licensed like 550 stories from them to make the show.
Wow.
And it was an expensive show to make. I never got paid a lot. I mean, sometimes they would pimp the Cryptkeeper out for Bud Light or something like that, and I'd get
and you get some promotional money, some ad money.
I'd get a reasonable paycheck. But other than that, I was working for scale or double scale or triple scale. By the time it got to the 5th season or whatever, and they'd be like, "Otherwise, we're going to fire you because we can't afford to do this." Blah 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 blah. Which I'm sure, once, William Gaines was gone, his family was like, "We never made any money on this. I'm not going to give them back the rights." So it kind of got down to that. And, some of the Joel Silver stories that you're talking about probably, helped with that kind of thinking. Anyway, I'm not going to say whether that's the reason, but,
It's safe to assume, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But,
So-
I mean, honestly, it's too bad because nobody wants to do the show without our version of the Cryptkeeper. When I say our version, what Kevin made for
That's what
our
everyone knows.
producers.
Yeah.
HBO, that's the franchise.
Yeah.
And so, nobody's going to make it without that. You could tell what the franchise is because that's what people get tattoos of.
Right.
Yep.
You're absolutely
You're
right.
100%. Yep.
I see hundreds of them, to the point where some of them people even have me sign them and then have my signature tattooed.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's very cool. I
That
mean, if
is
I didn't play
super
the
cool.
character myself, I'd probably have him tattooed on me somewhere. But
He's pretty awesome. He is.
so then once
he is pretty awesome.
so once Tales from the Crypt, became history. Where did you go from there, John? Since you've been hiding behind the microphone for the most of your career, what have we, heard, seen? You mentioned
Well,
stuff.
I mean,
I'm too old to probably have heard most of the
literally-
cartoon stuff, but
Oh, no, Pocahontas.
Literally from there you go.
you're in
From
Pocahontas.
1880
He's
from
Nico.
1880 to into early 2000s, most of my work was on camera.
Right.
I mean, it was and those things come and go. I get paid a lot of money to do some sitcom you've never heard of, or some series that played on some cable network that you never heard of or whatever, and those. And
You still get residuals, right?
well, the ones that play.
The one- that's what I mean. I'm like, as long as
I make more money off of my one episode of Friends.
I was just going to say.
those,
okay.
and
Nice.
the cartoon series, of course, they play the shit out of,
Yeah,
which is great. So
Yeah.
it's like you eventually get your 3-cent residual checks. It's very funny. But the Cryptkeeper was really the first professional voiceover job that I got. But then everybody wanted to either handle my voiceover career or and get me in whenever they could. And so 1988, 89, when we were making the show, I got approached by what was then the ICM voiceover department, eventually became TPN, who I'm still with all these years later.
Oh,
And
wow.
they're just
Good.
the best in the business. They're just the best. And we've had such a great, I mean, my career's been sterling with them over the years, and I just really am grateful. I
Great. So
still
they
enjoy it,
haven't
too.
merged with 3 other companies and become a mega agency and a packaging.
They already are a mega
They are.
agencies on their own. But I mean, then they now have they might even have a theatrical department for all I know. But I know they have a big commercial department, which on-camera commercials.
Oh wait, you said ICM, right?
It was originally ICM.
Okay. Forget what I said.
It broke off on it. It broke off on its own as the DPN,
right?
Which were the main three agents,
right? But ICM is not,
Panero and NIST.
Yeah, it's not
they
Broadway
the
Danny
ICM.
Rose.
Oh no! ICM is still there as a theatrical and packaging agency, but their voiceover work is handled by DPN.
Got it. Okay.
For their voiceover actors, and I mean, I've worked with, and everybody from William Shatner to the Barbie twins. Oh. So it's just like, and on the same cartoon, I might add.
I was going to say,
that's amazing. Oh, I love that. Oh my god.
Shatner, of course, insisted on sticking around for the Barbie twins. So.
Oh, he fell over himself trying to meet them. No, it was funny. It was funny because I was doing Eat the Cat and the Terrible Thunder Lizards for Savage Steve Holland and Bill Kopp, who are just
love
two of the
Savage
most
Steve
brilliant.
Holland. Everything he does, just love it.
Both of them are brilliant. I mean, Bill Kopp is just killed. He still posts his own stuff that he's producing at home that he just makes me laugh so hard. Nice. But and I'm doing the show, and it's me and Charlie Adler, and I mean, there's all these really great people on the show that are regulars on the show. Curtis Armstrong, Booger,
Sure,
and we're having an amazing time. But Savage Steve and Bill would get we'd have Mr. T on one week, or we'd have and so we're doing a Christmas special, and we have Bobcat Goldthwait who's sitting next to me, and we're playing a couple of elves and this kind of thing, and they've got the Barbie twins, and then one of the regulars on the show who came and went was Tawny Katane.
Oh, sure.
Gene
Simmons' wife,
stuff like that.
Gene Simmons' wife?
No, you're thinking of Shannon Tweed.
All right, sorry.
Shannon Tweed, who was on First and 10, by the way. She took over for.
Okay.
I was on First and 10, but she was dating the guy from Whitesnake back in the day. So that might be why you're thinking that. And
they all were dating somebody from some big band at the time. So.
Yeah, she was also dating OJ when I was on First and 10. So that was that was kind of a weird thing. Yeah. But
David Coverdale, by the way, that's the Whitesnake guy. Just wanted to. But one of the most, or she was in the video. Maybe she wasn't dating. I don't know. Anyway, one of the nicest people you'd ever meet, by the way. And anyway, so Charlie Adler, who originated Buster Bunny and voicing chicken, cow and chicken. Right. I mean, Durex and Charlie's just hysterical. And first of all, William Shatner shows up and he starts doing the Santa voice, and they're like, Bill, we kind of like to have him sound like you. Must say Christmas, must say. And he goes, he looks over at Bobcat Goldthwait. It's nice to see you, Sam. Sam Kinison is dead by.
God.
Also one of the nicest people, though. Bill.
I heard that, yeah.
So he goes, he's sitting there, Tawny Katane is sitting there, and Tawny Katane screws up a line or something. She's like, whatever. And Charlie goes, my dear, you have a mouth like the Ganges River. William Shatner, without missing a beat, goes, and I like to swim in that river. And we're just like, oh, God. Oh, my God. Did anybody record that? Oh, my God. Yeah. But there's just so many great stories over the years. I mean, boys.
Wow.
Cat Dog was amazing to shoot. We had, Tom Kinney and Jim Cummings playing Cat Dog. Then you have Carlos Alazraqui.
Yes.
If you don't know who he is, look him up. Yeah. Amazing.
Reno 911.
Rocco's Light, whatever. You got Billy West.
Oh, well.
The great Billy West.
You've got me playing all kinds of parts. Mark Hamill coming in repeatedly playing this one turtle character, I think. We had Dwight Schultz coming in, from A-Team, occasionally, playing the squirrel character on and off. Maria Bamford playing this kind of mousy, kind of perfect for that, the comedian. Who else? I mean, it was just It was amazing. And we would do it like every Tuesday. We'd go in and do Cat Dog, and it would be like Reader's Theater. And we would just have each other in stitches laughing our ass off every episode. It was just amazing. Just one of the most amazing, series to record that I've ever worked on.
It sounds like such a blast. It does. I know
Yeah,
that's the dream.
so
I know
much
Joe's
fun.
sitting there like, that's what the Tuesdays recording the podcast feel like, and maybe someday we'll make money doing it.
Yeah, well, I would just I'll be happy when the podcast makes its money back. That's all this is.
We'll get there.
So, everyone knows you as the Cryptkeeper, but what should they know about you now? What are you doing, and where can people see you?
Well, this week, if this hasn't aired, if it's aired already, when are you airing?
Well, this would be airing probably in 2 weeks.
2
right?
weeks.
Yeah, because we're actually behind.
Okay.
We usually do a longer lead.
You just missed me in Baltimore at Monster Mania, but I am coming to Crypticon in Seattle in May, as well as Texas Frightmare.
Texas Frightmare is a good show.
Oh, that looks like so much.
And I have a number of other horror cons coming to a city near you.
So where would people be able to find out about this stuff, John? Where are your where do you live on social media? Where do you where can people find out?
I live on John Kassir under my name, that's spelled like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's an R if you can't see the end of it. On Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter. Awesome. And that's where I live and breathe. And I always post what I'm doing, and I try to do some fun videos for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing these. It's like the only thing that I really do that's similar to recording is the cameos.
And
right.
Yeah, sure.
I
Those
get a
must be
bunch
so
of them.
much
And
fun.
they're a blast. I mean, most people can just go, "Hey, this is John Schneider from Dukes of Hazzard." And,
Happy
and
birthday.
It's really great to wish you a happy birthday, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there having to come up. Oh gosh, they're doing a gender release thing, and I got to come up with some puns. And, but I get in the dark room and I come up with it and do something fun for everybody.
Oh, I love it.
So it's kind of a fun, creative thing,
Yeah.
I think I've done close to 3,000 of them or something.
Wow. Good for you.
But it's fun. If I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't do it.
Right.
And it's the same with the conventions. I get to see all my fun people that I get to see, and
That's so great.
That's great.
hang with some of my favorite horror people. And
It's
we
a
all got
great group. Yeah.
some
So
great
what
dinners
kind of so aside from social media and stuff, are there any projects that we should know about that are coming up? Anything that you're involved in that you're allowed to talk about?
Yes, that was mine.
I'd have to kill you.
Oh, that's okay.
So
it's the usual answer.
Every single one of them now, they all have NDAs, so I can't talk about it until they're out.
Understood.
Right now, of course, like last year, I was plugging Flora and Ulysses because that was, for Disney, that was a blast. Right now, I'm doing some for Apple TV and Skydance,
Got it.
which is kind of a futuristic. I'll just tell you, it's kind of a futuristic Wizard of Oz kind of thing, but that's all I'm going to tell you about it.
Ooh.
I think I know exactly who's producing. Yeah, two of my friends have Apple deals.
We call him the Forrest Gump of Hollywood because he knows everybody.
I would
And
no,
it
no.
has
I'm
a
not
story.
saying. I'm not going to say
Always
words.
has a
John.
story.
He's
John,
always got a story.
I was a studio exec for 3 years. I've
We'll be on the lookout.
I know what to shut up. I know what to shut up. So
That's funny. Everybody keeps going, Joe who? No, I'm just kidding. that would prove that you've been in our business, actually.
Oh my God.
I was on John. I was on the internet side in the early '90s, so it was basically like they gave me a room and paid me to do nothing. So
No, I knew that. I knew that my on-camera career was mostly over when they go, we're looking for a John Kassir type.
oh yeah.
Oh, great.
And you're like, what about me?
I see what you're
available."
saying. I see what you're saying now. Yes,
No, we're looking for a type.
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah. That's Hollywoodese for we're looking to find someone else who does what you do much cheaper. That's yeah.
Yeah.
What a fun place. Well, John.
I'm like Mad Magazine, cheap. I used to love that. They used to put $1 underneath it, just so cheap. I used to love
Oh
that.
man.
Oh my God.
So
Anyway,
okay. So all right. NDAs notwithstanding, at least we know that we're going to be seeing more stuff from you coming up very soon.
Yes.
And anywhere you can watch the Tales from the Crypt shows or movies, you'll hear John's voice.
Mm-hmm.
You know where to find him.
Yeah.
And if you want,
and currently you can actually see Demon Knight and Bordello of Blood on Stars.
That's correct.
Please check that out.
That's correct. And
I did. You know what I did? That was really fun this last year. I did Solar Opposites for those guys that did.
Oh, yeah.
No,
I've wanted to get
Rick
into
and
that.
Morty.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yes.
I had done Rick and Morty for them as Blim Blam, who was
Yes.
this weird alien with space aids.
Yeah.
But they wanted to bring the Crypt Keeper to a Halloween episode this last year, and we did this thing. And they did this thing with the Crypt Keeper where he's like, he's kind of like an autistic Crypt Keeper where he's just
Right.
Tourette'ing bonds the whole time.
Oh my god. Okay, I
Fucking
got it.
hysterical. It's fucking hysterical.
Like I needed
We
another
had
reason
so
to
much
want to
fun.
watch it.
I guess I got
Yeah, it's great.
Yep.
So John, thank
Anyway.
you. Dude, you've been
Thank
great.
you.
Some call outs
Yes.
for you
Oh,
guys.
God.
Well,
Thank you.
we figured we'd do the
Yeah,
goodbye
we'll
and then
wrap
come back
up
to it.
and then
But-
we'll come back and again, yes, thank you so
yeah,
much.
this
John.
is the thank you and goodbye part.
Yeah.
Then we'll come back and do the bumpers.
Yeah.
We're
Okay.
probably going to keep all this in anyway.
Yeah,
so
of course,
you
yes.
know,
We cut nothing out.
the
Well.
kids, they love that BTS stuff.
Be careful what you ask for. You may get it.
John Kassir, ladies and
Oh,
gentlemen.
thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much for that, John. You're a pleasure. Thanks for all the time you gave us.
Oh,
Thank
what a
you.
joy.
Stabby Road Podcast was created by Joe Senna, hosted by Rob Graydon, Sonia Harcourt, and Joe Senna. Recording technicians Josh Graydon and Eric Todd. The Stabby Road Podcast is a production of Fourth Castle. All rights reserved. See you next week.